same in all but name. And at the risk of not being cool, we'll stake a solid claim to fame as harbingers and seers on soapboxes, making queer ridicule for the sheer nerve of us, questioning the next best thing, questioning what's festering. Because it's human connection that we seek. And though human direction looks bleak, the truth will prevail, because the truth is author of this tale. And they might control the stations, and they might control the rich, but no one controls the faithful, and the faithful can flick the switch. Were congregating and they were generating concern among other people, and now there's 2 people on a 10-kilometre beach because the crowd at Ballybunion Shipper, the queue at Ballybunion Shipper, didn't keep an arm's reach. There was blue sirens on the peninsula opposite, patrolling the coastline, keeping the surfers off of it. They did the rounds up in the housing estate, but they didn't find any house parties, just people resigned to their fate, old folks mostly that must cocoon, tuning in early after the news, whispering a few prayers against the flu. Jimmy says people are gone daft. Most of them now will only tap, but he doesn't mind the tracking app. He says it might be just the thing to rein this virus in and bring things back to normal. But there'll be no back to normal. And if there was, would you want the normal that didn't blink when the snow leopard nearly became extinct? The normal that ignored Yemen's starving hordes? No, there's no back to normal. And soon they'll make it formal in an announcement on approved stations. The restrictions will remain in place until further considerations. No children allowed, says the guard at SuperValue's door. Or bouncing out families of 3 people or more, checking for vectors. 1 per household. Shopping now is a serious game. 1 per household. No, just essentials, nothing vain. Easter is coming. There's super saver deals on chocolate, and all the ads are about community as they attack the heart of it, because the power of people is in gathering in prayer. With the land and the trees, to this no force can compare. When we congregate, then we generate an alternative reality that crumbles the great fallacy of a virus inside us, better known as separation. The original sin that caused the great degradation of our Holy Mother, whom we perceived as other, and we, the fruit of her loins, rotted in our separate minds. But a unification will arise, foretold at the dawn of time, when we hear her here, when we now know neither is other, because a great circle is completing. And lesser men are bleating for government measures and escapist online pleasures. But the chamber is filling, and it's terrifying and thrilling, and many will resist. But enough will be willing. The crone. I am the crone. You know, we're in the middle of a 6th mass extinction. Everything's disappearing faster than we can even name it. Culturally, you know, not only are the creatures going, but the names we had for the creatures are going as the indigenous languages also become extinct. So things are getting wiped out. And extinction is not just death, which we're not afraid of here, because we're breathing all over each other. Extinction is the end of life. Does that give you the willies? The end of life. But I read that something real is never lost. And I read that when the crone awakens in us that can awaken her in us, that we'll be able to sing the dead back to life, if we have the bones and if we have their name. I'm not there yet, but this is aspirational. I am the crone of the pointy shrone, singing over the bones of an Irish wolf, to sing him back home from the underworld with the overtones, and I'll not shrink as his flesh regrows, and I'll run with him then to the trees, to his den, and we lay together to strengthen and better our bodies for weather harsher and colder as nature gets older and regenerates. And we'll begin the journey that starts in the dark, the deep descent through a cavernous heart. And on the night of the souls and the day of the dead, we'll emerge from our hole with space in our heads. And we'll light the soul candle and we'll bake out the soul cake, and we'll take up the mantle and adorn for the sake of a noble line, something grand and fine. And we'll reclaim the ritual from plastic ghouls and sugary fools to light the fire that burns and the water that cools. Part of the crone. The crone then. I wrote about the crone much earlier than that one. And she's coming through a lot today. The crone, she's a dark feminine too, so when you're at the height of the male solar principle, all light, it's shining a light on the dark feminine, you know. I just like, oh my God, what's going through my head I couldn't even share with you, but I will a bit. This is exposition without the bare ass. My mind's on display and it's far more crass. I'm an artist, a hooligan, a seer with a sneer, a sage that feels rage. I'm the original queer. Which would you choose if you were me? To gamble and lose is one hell of a fee. I build fancy castles on banks of sand, and I cling to the dreams that dissolve in me hands. I'm sick with humility, and I'm alive with strength. Let poetry come through the earthly vent. Breathe. Give breath to the beast that hides within, and breathe fire on the meek that hide from sin. Ah, Jesus, dark were the words that I uttered then, but bright is the tale I'm retelling again. Long gone are the days when weakness won battle after battle, when my nature was shunned. No more do I sit on the rocks and feel cold. Now I see the faces of an ancient mould. From the dark I have travelled, fabrication unravelled, into obscurity and away from lack. Poor in my dress, but a castle on my back. O might that is weak deep down in the core, thou hast threatened these men and will threaten no more. For the meek are defiant and the proud are laid low, and I challenge this dealer to deal with this crone, whose minions are many, yet black and bold, that carry a wisdom more ancient than gold. Watch me spine, how it circles round, evading your arrows that fall limp to the ground. See, they're the skulls that hang from me belt, holding the knowledge was all that was felt. And while your puppet gives a screech, I will make a lasting speech. Vuskul mishnach, en ishim kri, I gorpanogoch is a shaniki, sprag on scale a rishtim veil is corrig quivne, dos mogail. Desperate you'll scramble with your arsenal of poison, and deftly I'll gamble with arse up and poison, laughing off your threat of rape, laughing now to see the ape. Forgiving, not yet. Singing then unpracticed song, singing till your action shone. Forgiving then, my monkey brother, forgiving like forgiving mother. For in her forgiving gaze no evil ever lived a day. So rest a while, me monkey brother, and ponder what has made you shudder, and I will rest and dream as well. Into aurora both will melt. Escape from geometric cities that turned your possibilities to pities. A pathway blown with salt, sage and silver. From the archonic grid we will deliver. Vuskal mishnach, anishim kri, gurpanogok is a shaniki. Sprag an scale a rishtim bail is corrigud quibne dos mochael. The cogger and the cogger. As gaelin and cogger agus and cogger. The war and the whisper. Cogger is war and cogger is whisper. Agus fies can I show you I've got hangach agus stuck in Ilamagam, so I'm just going to give you it in Irish. This is about the war that's going on. Cogga Shul. Ma vornin stor fad is vit with the cholle hit boom a gan glor he is three an din bost a kuen is traum agne de ahar dene velam Kailten a krien a kutin an oglem juttel is river eller skien is barog nav win diet de chlose nav win diet de chlose eist Nile Goni nish nu boma a boelen si dan kli akle litrike is fome ik tiene de chi Ní laram ag balú go sa léir lesline do ecce naid I ruin technoliachta ha ingel an immel ag lanúan de gníomh de likes loves agus thumbs ups ag tógáil breg a chír ná buin diet a húle ná buin diet a chlúsa éist ha nefid éisce ma fráhar ag an tiiscin tá íireach dá íireach an leidú de clisteach ha áiar an cósas an haulis ha langmór ag farad an bradán fast an bauer do ecce Da vroite, da voite an slua. Sa ecke, sa vroite an slua, da sochas nach true. Easily won, easily beaten, easily done this crowd for ease, for shame. Ná buin diet de húle, ná buin diet de chlúse, éist. De chine an páise hag an gútar an gaid de cnagar an doras a há dúnta go dé. Listen to the knock on the door. To the cry of the child that comes to you on the wind, to the knock on the door that is closed to your kin. Ag an céine. Part 2 is the cogger, the whisper, that's the war. Ag ní. An cogger I gardu, the whisper is rising. On a kere hirte from the four corners. An cogger I gardu, in anima nahar o tanga ma vahar, ha cogger I gardu o bail ma vrahra, in the name of the Father, in the tongue of my mother. There's a whisper rising from the lips of my brother. On ear. Dies glag de siersche chun ve play shli a vien gan oolach a he from the east a weak squeak for the freedom to be whatever she wants without burden to flee on tuskert a fele he is er gloen vriste fochram on chord the horn or honig fos in kiste from the north regret down on one broken knee the sound of a seeker who's not yet found the key on deskert bake Dovron do cuil dílachte gang crown taka an clown is na bliante iasachta from the south a howl of an orphaned forest without the tree of the family and the years that were borrowed. On irher iritis the fillishly vaha on mi heart go heart the fine ahaha from the west a request of a return of a livelihood from wrongness to righteous from a witness to good. On a kere hirte gan moil, gan bil, bailien an sho. Ik bailu in pieder nish le go. Without delay or regard, a whisper does rise. Gathering with one voice now it cries. Indivisible, unbroken, unbeaten this crowd for hope has been found. So vugha, so vruilte, so vuchas an slua, the rauchas an bua. On a kere hierde, cogger comeen, ad lachte is slacker ach fos shiel een. Curre evrin an verloos dov is giel. Kohieter an cogger, kiech an engel. From the four corners, a whisper so pure, buried in filth, without stain, a pure seed. Set in the womb of the void, dark and light, that whisper is nurtured on the breast of the Christ. So, okay, and loads more. I'm sure if you stick around, maybe I'll do a few more after. But, Sinna méid, gur míle maith agaibh agus sa bróram go raibh tíanamh seriously.